Update 110 is here and people have gotten to play it, and now we can talk about it. Let's start with the biggest change in a long time that is obviously pretty controversial. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. The new extraction text. Why? All joking aside, change it back. Or change it again to something better. Okay, so this update does a lot of things to shift the meta. We got the new Stalker Beetle, we got price changes, we got trait point changes, we got map tweaks, Questlines are now a thing, the wind field is now stronger, the Pax Claw is trying and failing to get my attention. There is a lot going on. But my favorite change with this update is one that really surprised me, and we will talk about that. But first, a quick word from the sponsor of this video, which is actually kind of Hunt Showdown themed. This video is sponsored by The Night Library, an independent comic book publisher which recently launched a Kickstarter to publish its Hunt Showdown inspired comic, Red Hunt issue number 1. Red Hunt is gritty, it's western, there's guns and monsters and cowboy silhouettes, so if you're tired of waiting for that Hunt Showdown TV series, or just like supporting small publishers, this is a really cool project, and you can check out the Kickstarter using the link in the pinned comment. The next stretch goal is going to help produce issue number 2, and you can read a digital version of the comic on their website. Thank you to the Night Library for sponsoring this video. Okay, back to the update. So speaking of lore, let's talk about the new Questlines that launched with the Twitch Drops event. Questlines are new chaptered missions that are very similar to summons, but they have more of a trajectory to them, almost like Questlines from other games. And while I think this first one was just a test and an interesting way to bring back Billy's story, I expect future questlines to tie into the lore of the game, which is a cool prospect to me. I don't follow the lore too closely, but I can imagine a scenario where we start getting teases about the next boss or map in these quests, and that sounds cool. Are the questlines huge? Are they game-changing? No, not really. They do at least incentivize people to play a different way. I've seen a lot of people carrying around the old tusk to complete their quest, so that gives me some hope for the future, but time will tell. Also new with this update is the Stalker Beetle, the new throwable darkside drone that was pitched as a new element of team play and an anti-camping mechanic. It's too early to see the long-term effects that this will have on gunfights, but for right now, I would say the reception has been pretty lukewarm. Which sucks because you can tell a lot of work and thought went into it. I have asked many people in random trios what they thought, and the consensus seems to be kinda meh. On the bright side, the Beetle isn't nearly as game-breaking as people were saying it would be, but on the other hand, it isn't really an anti-camping mechanic, more so than something like a frag grenade. It is an excellent intel gathering tool, and on the receiving end, it is fun to shoot out of the air, but I don't see this breaking too many stalemates if I'm honest. Another big change we saw is the cost of traits and weapons, and I saw a lot of, let's say, passion about this when it was announced. I have a different video explaining why the weapon price changes make sense to me. You can watch that, but I will say I've seen less uppercuts floating around in matches. The uppercut went from $275 to $414, but the base stats remain the same. And don't get me wrong, they are still there, I still get tagged with them, but they aren't quite as prevalent, at least anecdotally. They may become more popular again after the quest lines are done, but hopefully this is at least a step in the right direction to reducing the pick rate, but time will tell. Another price change is the reduction from split custom ammo types with single shot weapons, so now you don't have to pay twice to take the same ammo type, which is great. Also, the bug that prevented single shot weapons from reloading has now finally been fixed. However, I will say the ammo count feels very sluggish with this update. If you loot ammo, there is a delay before you actually get those bullets. But overall, I would say I'm happy with the price changes, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Onto the cost of traits, some more good changes in here. I'm glad Bullet Grubber is a little cheaper, going from 6 to 4, and Silent Killer going from 5 to 4. Those are great, I use them pretty often, but they aren't exactly must picks. The rapid fire traits like fanning and levering also saw small price increases, which I think was a good call. Some of these might influence my pick when I'm shopping for traits, But the one I'm curious about is Doctor going from 8 to 9. I mean, I agree, everyone takes that trait, but will that sway people off of it? I'm not sure. Also, on the topic of traits, Conduit is now great for people that hate stamina bars, Ghoul is handy if you run out of health, and Poison Sense is more useful than useless, and it pairs well with the Stalker Beetle. Let's talk about those weapon changes though. Sure, the Pax Claw now does the full damage of the knife, and Crytek, I really want to care. I want to meet you there, but you can't give me a Spitfire and then tell me the Pax is cool. It's not gonna happen. I'm not taking it. Also, this animation is sickening. But the Winfield has just been getting buff after buff, specifically the Winfield Talon. The Winfield now has a maximum headshot range of 150 meters, which is awesome, and on top of that, the Talon versions of weapons got buffed in a previous update to do the full melee damage of a combat axe, so if you're shopping for a cheap and effective all-around weapon with some Bayou Punk flair to it, the Winfield Talon is such a good pick right now. The Winfield has just been my daily driver and guilty pleasure when I run out of things to use. Okay, into the miscellaneous category now. The changes to prison seem good. The new loot spawns and towers are handy, especially if you need a consumable. I know there was stuff in there before, but getting new consumables from towers is just kind of nice. Also, I like that you can find stalker beetles in their cocoons around the map. I feel like the trees could be better marked with like a single white stripe around the middle of it or something. Nothing too eye-catching, but something visible at a distance and at different elevations, especially if you want this to be a common anti-camping thing. People need to be able to find them quickly, not just happen upon them. But those last two changes bring me to my favorite change with this update, being able to drop items for allies. Why isn't this a button? Crytek, I am asking humbly, please let me put things down. Being able to quickly run past your buddy, drop a syringe, and keep shooting just feels like such a good way to change up teamwork, and right now you have to have all 4 slots filled up to make this work, and it just feels convoluted. I understand this means toolboxes could be abused, but that's already possible with the Stalker Beetle, so let's just do it anyway. Okay, that is everything. Sorry if I rushed through that, but in summary, if the objective of this update was to shift the meta, then I think Crytek is taking steps in the right direction. I know not everyone is happy about it, but as someone that is a pretty solid 5-star rank, which means I see 4s and 6s, these changes have at least slowly shifted off the meta that was getting pretty stale for a little too long. The important thing is that there are pretty competitive picks across price ranges and ammo types, and I for one am happy to see more diversity in the gameplay. But of course there is still some stuff that needs work. I'm still seeing weird hiccups and hitching, especially when transferring to a new compound, and I've tried just about everything to reduce that, but the game is still fun, so I will just live with it for the time being. Let me know your thoughts on Update 110, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and until the next time, goodbye.